Hi, I'm Patty with Harris County Precinct 4 Encore. Thank you for joining us for another Encore Excursion. We're here at the infamous Monument Inn, a family-owned seafood restaurant located on the Houston Ship Channel. Good morning, this is Bob Laws, and he is the owner of Monument Inn here. Thank you for letting us join you today.
Yeah, no problem.
We are so excited to be here, one of our favorite places.
Well, great. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have brought our groups of seniors here on many occasions.
Yes, you have.
So, yeah, this is one of the places we definitely wanted to get, an interview with.
Good.
So, let's start at the beginning. How did Monument Inn begin?
I bought Monument Inn in 1990. Before that, it was an ongoing restaurant down the street. And that's when I actually bought it down there in 1989. I had it for 6 months and then it burned to the ground. This building here was the old Lynchburg Ferry Crossing restaurant. And it was abandoned, it was closed. And so we found out who the owners were. We came down here, we leased it for 5 years. We did a quick remodel and we opened as fast as we could. And then it turned into me buying the restaurant and the land in the building. And since then we probably had 8 remodels, 8 little, everything that probably next time you come, well, not next time, but so every time we just try to keep it fresh. We've been around a long time. We don't want it to make it seem dated, right? You know what I mean? We've got to try to always update.
Before you bought Monument Inn, what did you do?
I worked in the motion picture catering.
Really?
So we, and my ex-partner still does it. We went from locations for on film sets where you film feed the cast and crew and all the extras. So you would feed everybody.
So who's the most famous person you fed?
Oh, there's a lot of them. Steven Spielberg, Tom Cruise, Oliver Stone. I mean, some big players. Yep. So I did that for about 10 years, and my wife was running like 5 restaurants as a director of operations, and I was doing my thing and the catering thing. But I was traveling all around, living out of hotel rooms because we'd film movies anywhere from California to Massachusetts. And so we became pregnant. Well, this isn't going to work anymore, so we found out that the Monument Inn down the street was for sale. And so we bought that, and then 6 months later it burned down and we moved on here.
So obviously it's a seafood restaurant.
Mostly,
And so where do you get your seafood?
We have to buy our seafood from certified seafood wholesalers. So we have like 6 companies that we use, and each one of them, they send in price quotes every Monday morning. So if you've got redfish, then this is your price for the redfish for the week and stuff. And so then we review those, and that's who we decide to order from. Okay,
so does most of the seafood come from the Gulf? Or?
Not really. It's like redfish has to be farm raised. It's a federal rule, right? So that has to be farm raised, and our catfish is farm raised. But our salmon, of course, isn't from around here. But most of the other stuff, our shrimp and everything are. So.
Right. So, of all the dishes that you prepare, what is probably your best-selling entree?
Fried shrimp.
Fried shrimp. There's nothing better than fried shrimp.
Fried shrimp is probably, yeah. And there's probably 3 or 4 of the fried seafood things are definitely our best sellers. Because nobody wants to cook fried seafood at home, right? I mean, what a pain in the neck that is. So I think that's one of the reasons why. Plus, it's really good. So, and that, yeah. So we go through a lot of shrimp.
Mm. And so
each one of the shrimp that come in, we have to peel, and then we break it in half, and then open it up, and then we have to hand bread each one. So it's a process. When you get the one shrimp, it's not like it just all of a sudden just appears. It's a process.
It didn't jump out of the water straight to the plate.
No, it certainly did not.
All right, so obviously you are going through the COVID issue. What are some of your other hardships that you had? You've mentioned that the first restaurant burned down. Mm-hmm. What other hardships have you suffered?
We've had 2 hurricanes, Ike and Harvey, which the downstairs flooded both occasions. We've had our share of tropical storms. We got a tropical storm probably tomorrow at some point. We have the ITC fire down the street, which closed the restaurant for 42 days because you couldn't access the restaurant. And that was an interesting time. And now we have the COVID thing. And there's a whole bunch of other things in between, but those are the big ones.
And
it's not as easy as people think.
And I know we were all aware, because during the ITC fire, that was something that was on the news on a regular basis. And of course, Harvey.
Yeah, Harvey. Yeah. So at certain times, like if you saw some of the newscasts about the ITC fire, with the hurricanes and things, you know they're coming, right? So you can prepare. So we take everything upstairs and downstairs, and we know ahead of time that we're going to flood an event like that, right? So for like this tropical storm that's coming in tomorrow, we don't really think anything's going to happen. I haven't been on the internet all morning, so we won't make any preparations. Even though I just did go over with the general manager, I said if things change, we have a hurricane checklist. So they'll start implementing that, but with the hurricane coming, we know about it, so we've got time to do our thing and do what we can, and we take all the food that we can that's possible. We take it to a frozen place down the street where French fries and stuff like that, right? So things like that, they'll go down the street and we'll keep them in their freezer. Everything else, just depending on the ITC event, we couldn't get down here, so we had all the food in our refrigerator for 2 weeks. We could throw it all away. So, but a hurricane, it just depends on the power, right? So, the upstairs is whether this building is made of basically concrete, and so the building stands up well to hurricanes. It's the rising waters that's the issue. And so that doesn't affect anything upstairs. So as long as we have power, heck, one day later we'd be ready to go again. So with the downstairs and the private rooms would be closed.
Now the most important question. All of our seniors know about your cinnamon rolls. Where did that recipe come from?
That was actually before my time. So when I bought the restaurant, it was an ongoing concern, and they were making the cinnamon rolls back then. Actually, the same lady who was making the cinnamon rolls 31 years ago is still the same person at Precinct.
Really? Ooh, boy, that's going to be hard when she decides to retire, huh?
Well, we've trained 3 more people because in the meantime, between down the street and here, right, business has gone way up except for now with the COVID thing. So she couldn't possibly keep up. So we've trained 3 more people. So now I have 4 people that know how to do the cinnamon rolls. And I don't know what the recipe is, to be honest with you. I know that they do that in the first thing in the morning, and then they have to let the dough rise, and then they slather with a whole bunch of butter and cinnamon and sugar and the raisins, and then they roll them up. It's pretty amazing how they do it. So
that could be a story all by itself.
And they make a lot. I mean, they really do. They make a lot. So on a normal, pre-COVID, they would make like 1,000 cinnamon rolls on a Saturday.
Wow. Well, thank you, Bob, for having us. We are glad to be here. We're excited to have lunch here shortly, and we appreciate you letting us join you.
Thanks for coming. We enjoy your groups coming in all the time. Hopefully someday soon, after all this craziness is over, we can get back to a new, better normal.
Right. Oh, we'll definitely be back. Look what I get to have, and it's warm. Mmm. Thanks again for joining us on another Encore Excursion. Please join us again for our next adventure.